Hi, everyone. Are you all here? Are you guys all in the live chat? Welcome to a new live stream. My name's Heidi.
And Toby
is his name. Welcome to Crypto Tips. Just a real quick for those of you who haven't seen these live streams yet, we've been kicking these off for about a month now. How long has it been? Over a month?
Yeah.
Weekly, like once or twice a week, we go live to keep you guys all caught up on what's been happening in the world, both in crypto and, globally with this whole economic and pandemic quarantine situation. So today is no different. I'm going to start it off with a couple, cryptocurrency focused articles and information, and Toby's going to be the bearer of good news.
Oh yeah, I'm really good at that.
But in all seriousness, he's bringing some important things that will be beneficial for you to be aware of. So, it's not a smack in the face when all these things happen. Anyway.
Yep.
Hi, everyone who's in the live chat. Thank you for tuning in and saying hi.
Hey, Carlos.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Oh, Tasman, you're from Washington State. We were thinking you might have been
Tasmania.
From Tasmania. G'day, Hey, Carlos. Hey, from Estonia. Okay, oh, nice. So, Foxquate. Okay, getting into it. Let's see. Well, we had to kick it off with this meme. Says that feeling when the Bitcoin halving is just a few weeks away and you just spent your entire tax refund and stimulus check stacking BTC.
Watching Good the globe burn.
with the popcorn and the globe. Okay, so I'm going to touch on Bitcoin halving first. Talking about, there's always these articles talking about, the price goes down 2%, goes up 5%. Cool. Let's talk about the hash rate. Because that's actually an indication or one of the fundamentals of, the health of the Bitcoin network and kind of in general the cryptocurrency space, because it does tend to trickle down. So
people always freak out about the hash rate.
Yeah.
Guys, relax. It's fine.
Yeah. Especially if it goes down.
Goodness.
Because it makes it easier for the little guys to be mining Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But so there's a lot of people trying to figure out, which came first. The halving or the price surge, the chicken or the egg. So what we think, actually, I think you agree with me, is that the price tends to increase after the halving. And
price lags.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's really good for miners.
Yeah.
So.
The cost of mining tends to set the bottom potential floor for the Bitcoin price. And as the halving events occur and their rewards get cut in half, that should mean that the price should double and essentially see all-time highs after each event eventually.
Now, it doesn't happen the day that the halving happens. Please get that out of your mind. Just because Heidi says, hey, the halving is 30 days or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's
just, like a year after. It could be because that's what happened for the last one. It was a year later. It popped. Definitely not it's not like a fork event where all of a sudden you instantly a lot of people are trying to accumulate Bitcoin now because after the halving event they think it's going to pop off, but it's definitely not going to be immediate. But what happens here is so many people are speculating on the actions of the miners. Are they selling? Are they dumping on? Miners do place a lot of sell pressure on the market of Bitcoin because they have to sell their Bitcoin in order to facilitate their business of mining and paying off their employees and maintaining their computers and all of that infrastructure that goes into these huge mining farms. So they tend to put a lot of selling pressure in it. Now, what I think happens after the halving event is because they are getting less Bitcoin rewards for the same number of or same efforts, they are going to be, selling it at a higher price because they need to. They will be less inclined to sell at a lower price. And so that is what I think kind of establishes the next step up in the floor of the Bitcoin price.
Yeah. And also people think, okay, well, now nobody's going to have any money. Nobody's going to have any money to put into Bitcoin. Whereas it's still at $6,700.
Yeah.
It was 7,000 yesterday, 7,100. Come on. There's plenty of money going around. With all this money printing, there's plenty of money. So I'm not worried about the price whatsoever. Neither is Heidi.
Yeah. It's all about what you can do with it.
Yeah.
So hi, everyone. Thanks again for tuning in. Just getting caught up on all you guys saying hi in the comments. Great to see you. Great to see where you all coming from. Of course, John from California, always saying hi. All right.
This guy says, why do people hate Roger Ver? I don't hate Roger Ver. He's a guy.
He's a guy. He's just a guy.
He's just a guy.
Well, there's a lot of just guys out there, but
whatever. He's got a lot of good philosophies and whatever.
Is there like a new recent hate piece on Roger Ver out there? I haven't been keeping
track. Yeah.
All right. So next up, I want to talk about a little bit is this really short. Going to go over this article. This guy was saying how Bitcoin might be akin to cigarettes and how they are in prison, meaning like how valuable they are because of how scarce they are. But to me, that analogy went on so many other different levels of like being in a prison and, you know, just people wanting to get their little relief of that in the form of cigarettes. But the good thing here is that Bitcoin does not cause cancer. So got that going
bit
for
healthier.
It. Yeah.
Yeah.
All different aspects here. Speaking of that, also, we're going to be look at how the quarantine situation is affecting a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. I saw on here, was it on this article? I think it was in this article, talking about there's a Japanese graduation ceremony that was held and through virtually. So like how many people were going to the doctor and they were greeted with like an iPad on a robot. The students were on the iPads and robots going through the ceremony, which I thought was a hilarious visual. But so this is talking about how the quarantine situation has been kind of shifting the focus onto making like a digital learning or like, you know, interactive and remote learning, I guess, instead of obviously being able to meet in a classroom. It's encouraging people to learn how to connect in other ways. And through that, they've wanted to bring like your certificates and your college degrees and all that and putting it on the blockchain, which isn't necessarily a new idea, but, you know, it's something that people are learning about. Yeah.
Like everything's going to be put on the blockchain. So
yeah.
Get used to it. That's
yeah.
it.
And maybe, you know, it'll be a good boiling frog scenario where suddenly everything's on the blockchain and suddenly everyone's using cryptocurrencies. Privacy-based cryptocurrencies. That's where I'm going to come in. But also, reading over this article, it also kind of, you know, I want to have the reminder for you all of like, what are you doing with your time? Yeah, it sucks. You can't leave. You can't do all these other random activities. Maybe can't go outside so much, but always a great reminder of how are you spending your time, especially for people who are new, who are like always wanted to be, let's say a digital nomad or, you know, being your own boss, being self-employed. Learning for me firsthand, I wasn't born a digital nomad. I wasn't always, you know, self-employed. I've held plenty of jobs before, but this past 5 years has been really my introduction to that. I'm used to it now, but having the discipline and being able to schedule yourself to keep yourself on track and hold yourself accountable. Not everyone has a Toby to help you with that, but
vice versa.
Yeah, we help each other out, but it's seriously, especially like there's so many memes and jokes going around of, oh, what's new to watch on TV or what's new on Netflix or what movies can I watch, whatever. Ask a different question, you know, well, like,
I mean, also if you're not using this time to like further your financial education and like positioning yourself right now, like you're going to miss out on, I mean, what's going to happen is going to happen. So you might as well protect your family and your friends as well. And if you have a financial education, you'll know where to put your money. Even if you have a little bit, you don't need to have a lot of money. Like I remember freaking buying Bitcoin at $70. And I remember like going, you know, I have $70. Okay. I have like $300. Yeah, I'll put it in there. Why not? That's 3 Bitcoin, you know, years later. Wow. That was really cool. I'm glad I bought that. So it's just like right now there's even a bigger opportunity. Whereas, you know, value, the things of like hard assets will go for the most part down in value. So, you know, even like houses or whatever, they're going to be crashing. So if you want to buy that house of yours that you've always wanted or whatever, or at least have something for the future for your family and for your friends that you can, house because they don't have a financial education and they've been screwed over by all this, then you can help them out as well. So this isn't just about being, like I always say, like, don't be selfish with your education. You can use this to help a lot of people. So, and I mean, what Heidi and I say will go a long way, because we've been studying this stuff for forever. So, yeah.
Got to share the wealth. Spread the knowledge. Spread the crypto knowledge. For those of you who've been watching for a while, maybe you remember that little catchphrase I was trying to do on my videos. But yeah, so, time management, enrich your life. Your brain's the muscle. Don't forget to work it out. Now, maybe this was why some of you, wanted to take part in this one. But for those of you who, you're entrenched in learning about everything that's happening and maybe you want a little escape, Litecoin has helped produce a horror movie, which I think is great. They are kind of known for this. They've done the UFC fights. They sponsored the Miami Dolphins in one way or another. So everyone's trying to figure out how to get mass adoption, and you got to get your name out there. And I think this is a great idea. I don't know how much money they put towards this. I'm not totally read up on like their allocation of their funds and how they invest in things, but I think this is kind of cool. So Johnny Knoxville is in it. It says, oh no, not Johnny Knoxville's in it, and there's a preview here there's an article about it on CoinDesk, and you can watch a preview for it. It looks okay because it's about some heavy metal concert goers, and then there's some satanic killings going on.
Sweet. Bitcoin at 666.
It's truly horrible.
All right.
Yeah, horrific. But so anyway, that's kind of cool.
And we are invested in Litecoin, just to let you know. So that's just one of our many coins that we are in. We like to stick with near the top 10. So anyways.
Speaking of, I have been talking a lot about my Patreon account in my recent videos, and I definitely appreciate all of you who have joined recently. I think it's great. Maybe you joined because I am doing a free live chat just like this, but it will be specifically available to the members of the CT Club on my Patreon page. I'm going to go live. You guys can interact in the live chat, ask me all your questions, and I can make sure that I'm answering them as best as I can. Everything you could want to know that I can tell you about wallets and storing your cryptocurrencies properly. So also what I do on the Patreon page is I post about the different changes that I do to adjust my crypto portfolios. So for those of you who have been wanting to know about that, you can also check that out on my Patreon page.
And you're doing pretty good after that engine buy.
Yeah, I've been kind of active on
that's a great one
with those. So that's about, I wanted to end, the crypto note on that.
Cool.
So it turns out Litecoin Foundation did do something horrible, but it wasn't as bad as maybe my clickbait title led you to believe. Okay. Next up, here's what Toby's got.
Okay. So the economy now. Just how bad is it going to get? JPMorgan halts all non-governmental guaranteed small business loans. Wow.
So this is like last week.
They know what's happening.
Yeah.
They know what's going to happen. They know that there's going to be a lot of risk, and they're just not willing to take it because they know that small businesses are going to be screwed for the most part.
On both ends. From not getting any stimulus packages really from the government, and now they're going to have a hard time getting loans from the bank.
Yeah, but meanwhile, the billionaires are being bailed out.
Yeah.
Oh, here's free money.
Yeah.
But make it harder for the little guy. But, I think this is a bit planned. I think bigger corporations want to just run the show. That's my take on this. Like, I don't understand why they would have such a hard time with these loans, considering it's government backed. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. So, okay, so here's kind of like this Zero Hedge article says, if the bank expects a default tsunami to hit, coupled with a full-blown depression that wipes out the value of any and all assets pledged to collateralize collateralize the loans. So they know what is going to happen, like I just said. And scroll down a little bit. And so expect all other banks to do the same. And other big and not so big U.S. banks, such as Bank of America, Citibank, Wells Fargo, to follow just as quietly in JPMorgan's footsteps and halt loans to all small businesses across America due to the fears of a default tsunami. And I'm going to get into more of that in a bit.
Also adding on to that.
Yeah, so, JPMorgan, they're always changing the rules, aren't they?
Yeah. And now they're changing it so their mortgage borrowing standards are heightened. So now you have to have
700,
a
right?
700, a credit score of 700, and you will be required to make a down payment of at least 20% of the home's value.
Okay, so let me jump in there.
Wait, before this, it was a credit score of 620, and you only needed 3% down.
Yeah, so now everybody's losing their jobs. You have 17 million unemployed, which I'll go over that. Again, I'm jumping ahead. And then, you're expecting somebody to pay 20% down. Do you know what this is going to do to the housing crisis? It's going to be nuts. And I'll get into the commercial in a second. Yeah, this is really dangerous.
Yeah, it just says here in this article, it also says, reportedly, these changes should help the bank reduce its exposure to borrowers who lost their jobs unexpectedly or whose homes decline in value during current economic crisis. So looking out for themselves. They made it really easy for you to take out loans before because it was really easy for them to make money off of them. Now they're realizing they're scraping the bottom of the barrel and they're dumping you.
So what I tell my friends is, hey, listen, if you're thinking of buying some real estate right now, you might want to hold off because I think there's going to be a lot. It's going to go to fair market value if it's allowed to do that, which I can't imagine the Fed buying up everything, but they might. So, yeah. Okay, so this says it all right here. This picture is going to go down in history. It says, the Dow's best week since 1938. Meanwhile, more than 17 or 16 million Americans, we now know it's 17 million Americans, have lost their jobs in 3 weeks. So it's fake. Everything on that stock market is fake. It's all fake. Also, if you want your charts or whatever, they're useless. Throw them out. They're worthless.
The biggest takeaway here is that Jim Cramer is the one talking about
Oh, man. Yeah. Remember that guy with Lehman Brothers? Yeah, you should buy it. Hey, there you go. When it crashes, right, a couple days after it crashes. So Gregory Manarino says, consumer sentiment plunges to 9-year lows. Stocks surge higher. It just says it all.
Okay, I can't. Give me time to get this visual on. Okay, next one.
Okay, so Zero Hedge article. Free markets are dead. Fed to start buying junk bonds, high yield ETFs. So they're buying up everything. People are like, hey, the Fed is like killing themselves. No, they're not. They're going to own the entire world after this. Okay, so nearly a third of U.S. apartment renters didn't pay rent in April. So this is just, people don't have the money. So how is somebody going to spend, 20% of a mortgage or whatever to buy a house? You can see where this is headed. I mean, this is the worst. This is going to be the worst housing crash the world has ever seen. By far. I mean, gosh, this is disgusting what's going to happen. So it's just proof right here what we are reading. And then Ray Dalio, simply, I just wanted you to see this, like even the most renowned economists, investors are like, hey, we're heading into a depression. No, we already are in a depression. 17 million unemployed in 3 weeks is a depression. by second quarter, at least 33% unemployment. That's a depression. People can say it's a recession. Yeah, bullcrap. Okay, so
I want to see if I can play his audio for this, and it'll pick it up because I think it's great. But
okay, I'll say the CEO of Social Capital. I cannot pronounce his name.
Chamath Palihapitiya.
The Fed wants to bail out hedge funds. Hedge funds, shouldn't they be hedged? The whole point of it. So give me a break, man. And then the newscaster on CNBC is
sticking up
well,
for them.
why not?
Yeah.
Why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't airlines be bailed out? Because a free market will come back around and will fill the gap. This is the free market. You do not want nationalized airplanes everywhere.
What's sad about that is I feel like some of the news announcers, I feel like they're trying to represent what they think their viewers would ask. And whether or not they would or not, they're imparting that kind of a twist on it, and they're influencing their viewers. And so for him to ask that question, it's kind of, the people who watch things like CNBC seriously or, any kind of mainstream media, they're probably susceptible to that kind of influence of that train of thought. And so, I'm sure anyone who was watching that interview was like, yeah, why not? So I think it's great that he went through this. I'll try.
And this guy also he was talking, I forgot, I think in a TED Talk or something, where he's saying, I regret making apps the way I did because it makes people addicted to their phones. So he's actually a really good guy.
He's also into crypto.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Okay. I hope the audio, let me see if the audio will.
I think we all agree with you that more money for Main Street is needed. Maybe not in spite of the money to all of these companies or whatever that make up the economy as well. That more money is needed everywhere, perhaps. But are you suggesting, you keep saying propping up zombie companies. Are you arguing to let airlines, for example, fail?
Yes.
Why?
I love that answer. Yes.
How does that make sense in the broader scheme of the economy?
Because when you look at what it means, this is why I'm saying, this is a lie that's been purported by Wall Street. When a company fails, it does not fire their employees. It goes through a packaged bankruptcy, right? If anything, what happens is the people who have the pensions inside those companies, the employees of these companies, end up owning more of the company. The people that get wiped out are the speculators that own the unsecured tranches of debt or the folks that own the equity. And by the way, those are the rules of the game. That's right, because these are the people that purport to be the most sophisticated investors in the world. Mm-hmm. They deserve to get wiped out. But the employees don't get wiped out. Yeah. The pensions don't typically get wiped out.
Why does anybody, I just understand, why does anybody deserve, using your word, to get wiped out from a crisis created like this? How does anybody deserve to get wiped out?
Well, but just be clear, who are we talking about? We're talking about a hedge fund that serves a bunch of billionaire family offices? Who cares? Let them get wiped out. Who cares? They don't get the summer in the Hamptons? Who cares?
Great answer.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there are people. You don't think the employees? Hold on, Scott. You don't think the employees of these companies own stocks? I mean, own their stocks, own the company's stocks?
You can look on Bloomberg and you can see what percentage of these companies are typically owned by. These things are owned by BlackRock. These things are owned by these huge, amorphous organizations. Ultimately, downstream, and the employee owns a few $100s or a few $1,000 of shares.
Well, I just don't understand. This is like a natural disaster. And why does anybody deserve to get wiped out? Wouldn't that be immoral in and of itself?
Oh my gosh.
No, because what's happening right now is what I'll tell you is on Main Street today, people are getting wiped out. And right now, rich CEOs are not, boards that had horrible governance are not, hedge funds are not, people are. 6 million people just this week alone basically saying, holy mackerel, I don't know how I'm going to make my own expenses for the next few weeks, days, months. So it's happening today to individual Americans. And what we've done is disproportionately prop up and protect poor performing CEOs, companies, and boards. And you have to wash these people out.
Amen. I'm glad that there's someone out there representing that point of view.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Happy
Especially
for him.
That guy.
Yeah. All right.
So quantitative easing, the money printing for giant corporations and to put money into the stock market. Essentially, we've seen nearly 5 years of QE 1 through 3, which is quantitative easing, which is money printing or currency printing. 5 weeks. That's crazy. That's 5 years of currency printing in 5 weeks. This is just the beginning. Like, we've not seen anything yet. I mean, they need to prop up the 10-year. They need to prop up oil. They need to prop up the stock market. They need to prop up, they need to buy the world. Do you know how much that's going to cost? Yeah, this is crazy.
That's when you make I can't trill my R's. So that's when you gotta.
Gosh, man.
Yeah.
So much money printing or currency printing. Okay.
Moving on to this other thing that's been happening in the world. Zoom out even more.
Okay. So, Apple, Google are bringing tracing. I'm not going to say the word because it's.
We think we might be shadow banned.
We're definitely getting shadow banned. Like our video didn't even show up for like 40 minutes until the last time we did
these live streams.
So, anyways, I'm trying to.
So, if you guys are watching this and you think it's valuable, hit the share button or copy the link and share it to your friends so they can get this information if you think it's valuable. Sorry.
Yes. So Apple, Google are bringing. So they're pretty much.
Contact tracing to 3 billion people.
So what that is
through your phones, probably,
yes,
right?
So they're tracking you, to make sure that, say for instance, you're running into contact with somebody with the virus or whatever. Okay, so you know where they are going with this, right? Hey, you walked
by a guy.
You walked by a guy who tested positive. You're ordered under mandatory quarantine now or face jail. And this is going to happen as well. So, now's the time.
And what if they're wrong about your location? And what if they're wrong? Like, what if there's a glitch in the system that's saying that you did, then you're forced into quarantine? You try and debate it, and then you go to jail, and then you're sitting in jail for forever. Because that's another thing that's been really affected by this quarantine is the judicial system and people, needing to go to court. Those ready or who are due for a fair and speedy trial aren't getting that.
Nah.
So. This is just like I think that they're just being, what's the word, very hasty with trying to figure out how to track people, how to get a hold on whatever they're trying to get a hold on.
Or just trying to figure out how far they can go with this stuff.
So here's the tip. Leave your phone at home. There you go.
Yeah.
All your problems. Hey, as far as they're concerned, you've been quarantined for months on end.
Exactly.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. And, as far as...
It's also a good idea just to leave your phone, be away from your phone for an extended period of time anyway. But
yeah, there's going to be snitches as well, so
we'll
get into that in a second.
Whenever we say that, I think it's snitches against stitches.
Yeah. Okay, so U.S. banks preparing to seize energy. We talked about this. I talked about this a month ago. U.S. banks are preparing to seize energy assets of shale companies. Okay, they've lent to. Okay, let me stop there. So shale companies, their cost of production is about $50 a barrel.
So it has to be at least $50 a barrel for them to be.
Yeah, oil's at 23, and they're leveraged up to. I'm hearing reports of 100 times. They're gonna have a huge bailout.
Sorry, I forgot to flip the mic back around. Sorry. Okay, I think we can still hear us.
Sorry, guys.
Continue.
Okay.
It's not that they couldn't hear us. It was just not ideal.
Okay. So, the shale companies, they are leveraged about 50 to 100 times. That's what I've heard at the most. Okay, and their average cost per barrel is about $50 per barrel. So, with that said, that they're going down without government help. And guess who's going to step in and get them? JPMorgan and Wells Fargo, let me stop there. So they are part of the 6 banks that actually own the Federal Reserve. Okay, let me move on now. Bank of America and Citigroup are each in the process of setting up independent companies to own oil and gas assets. So that's more evidence that they are really planning on taking over. This is a global takeover. This isn't just in the U.S. or whatever. They are buying everything. They are buying foreign stock. They're buying foreign real estate. They're buying, they're lending governments money. And now they're actually in the process of bailing out, back domestically in the U.S., states. So states are bankrupt. How are they going to pay that back? Well, they're going to be owned now, completely owned. So it's going to be interesting to see, what happens with state tax and federal tax. I don't know if that's going to affect that, but So this is off of Max Kaiser. I really like the guy. 30% of mortgages could default, and Fannie and Freddie Mac could require another bailout like the Great Recession if lockdown stretches into summer. Okay, so this is just more evidence that, people aren't paying, the rent. And now, mortgages are going to possibly be 30% of have defaulted. That's just nuts. I've never heard anything even close to that. So that's why I tell my friends, you can do what you want, but I say, hey, hold off if you're going to buy a house. Like this. We've got a long way to go. We've got, I suspect, a year and a half before it possibly bottoms. We'll see. Okay. So with the initiation of the Fed's complete takeover and control of the U.S. financial economy, there is absolutely no accurate pricing discovery in the capital markets, and we have now entered a period of total manipulation. So, like I said, your charts, if you're a trader out there, your charts don't work anymore in the U.S. stock market. They don't work. They just don't. So,
because however it should go, it doesn't matter. It's going to go the way that the Fed wants it.
Doesn't matter. They're buying it all.
Yeah.
The public equity and debt markets are now nothing more than greater fool markets, and are led by the greatest fools of all, the Fed and the Congress. U.S. capital markets, RIP. So yeah, that's it. So maybe I tell my friends, save your money, don't go into the stocks. Like, you might as well get into harder assets, stuff where you don't have any counterparty risk or anything like that. So gold, silver, Bitcoin for the most part, and U.S. dollars until you want to switch that because there is a global liquidity crisis. So I would hold some cash on hand, just some dry powder, just in case something happens, so you don't know. Okay, so now let's talk about the snitches. Okay. LA mayor encouraged residents to report violators of stay-at-home orders. Snitches get rewards. This reminds me of Nazi Germany, like in a way. My grandmother, she was put into concentration camps, when my grandparents were put in a concentration camp, that didn't happen overnight. Things slowly progressed into that. And she's told me this story many times. It's amazing. So I see where this is headed. This is the same people.
They ended up surviving, by the way, and getting out.
Yeah, it was just amazing.
Maybe we'll save that for another video. But
sure.
It is scary, the similarities between how things are progressing now and like the decisions being made by different governments around the world. And, to the thing that you think no one would forget about that, but how quickly history is forgotten.
And the same people that snitch on their neighbors are the same people that would have been snitching out the Jews.
Yeah, because they're just following orders.
Yeah. So that's it.
It's a scary mindset to have.
Famous words right there.
That disconnect between the reality of your actions and, how severe things actually are and how they're not.
So Toronto warns there's just more like things that are happening about this sickness. Toronto warns $5,000 for those ignoring closed parks. And then you have taking a dog for a walk, 1,000 pound fine. Like where's this money going to go? Like is it, like crazy. How do they come up with this money? This
I mean,
number.
Where we are in Portugal, you know, we've been kind of watching this spread throughout Europe, and you know, Spain, of course, being right next door. We've been trying to guess how Portugal will react based on that, and for them, actually, the only excuse you could have for going outside was to walk your dog. In fact, people were they put stuffed animals on a leash and dragging it behind them. Someone was walking their turtle. People were renting out their dogs to give people the ability to go outside and get some fresh air. So it's crazy, like that.
It's good business,
you know.
Buy some Bitcoin with it.
Bear no expense for, you know, keeping people inside, I guess.
Yeah.
So this one,
you want to go over that one?
Yeah. Okay. So you read this article over this morning and you sent it over to me, and I'm not even done with it yet. It's quite a interesting article, but it's definitely something I need to keep wrapping my head around. And so for those of you who have some free time on your hands and you want to learn something, this is a really good article here. I'll copy it right now and put it in the live chat box for you guys. But it talks about the euro dollar and what that kind of, the implications of that with the U.S. economy, with the global economy, how everyone has their hands in the euro dollar. And yeah, it's really interesting. Again, I've started reading it, but it's going to take some time for me to wrap my head around it because that's just the way that I learn. But yeah, so what do you think about this?
I mean, it talks about pretty much how the U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency and how like international investors and just banks and whatever need U.S. dollars, right? And how the U.S. funds used to fund that.
And it doesn't actually have anything to do with the euro or Europe.
Yeah, euro.
It just, the word euro, it refers to a currency that is being held in a country that doesn't issue it. So there could be a euro yen. There could be a euro USD. The euro dollar. Yeah. That's what that is. So that's just to clarify that. So yeah, it's people who are holding U.S. dollars outside of the U.S., whether it be in cash or in assets or liabilities. Yeah. And yeah.
And you'll be able to see, if you understand where that is headed, you'll be able to understand what to actually get into, like what assets to actually hold. And you'll understand why it's wise to hold a little bit of cash. And you'll understand also where the top of that is going to be because you'll be able to see it through foreign exchange markets. And yeah, I think there's a lot of good stuff to come out of this article, and that's why we chose it. You know, I think it's really good and educational, and it'll help you invest wisely. Because there's going to be a lot of people saying, you know, there's going to be hyperinflation right away. I'm like, no, hold on. Just if you're educated, you'll know, like, hey, listen, I know in back of my mind that this is how the system works, and so I'm going to invest that way because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to try to lead you into certain ways that probably won't be right. And so the more education you have, the more knowledge you have, the better decisions you'll be able to make.
Did you want me to click on that?
Sure.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah, why not? So just click on it. It's fine.
Well, if we're gonna get shadow banned, this might be why.
I'll keep it short. Okay. So just look at that picture right here. You have Jeffrey Epstein right next to Bill Gates, and that's all I'm gonna say about this. You can make up your own decisions whether or not you like the guy or whatever. But he is coming out with something that will supposedly help out people, and digital certificates and stuff like that. So we'll see. You know, I really hope it doesn't come down to that, but that's a scary thought if that's what happens. So, but anyways, that's pretty much what I have to say about that one. So,
yeah.
Buy Bitcoin,
yeah,
silver, gold, and hold some cash.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all that we have to talk about today. Let me go through the comments real quick, see if I see any.
And I don't know if we are. Josh Davis asked us, Toby, what is your top 5 cryptos? Well, sign up for our Patreon, and you will be able to see. Yeah. And not only that, we give pretty much 5-minute notice of when we've done the trade.
We try to.
Pretty much 5-minute notice.
Yeah, so. But I've got videos on my Patreon talking about my crypto portfolio, also like the small cap coins that it's highly speculative. Obviously, any small cap coin is super speculative. But yeah, again, those are all on
we can
Patreon.
give this away. I mean, our favorite coin is Bitcoin. It's been around the longest. It has the most liquidity. And I think it's the most secure network in the history of the world. And that's why we are invested in it. And the rest, you'll see. See any more questions here? Bitcoin is not a safe haven, one man says.
Well, true. When it's a liquidity crisis, everyone's going to be taking out money or taking out their investments to get into cash to do what they need to do.
Okay, like you posted earlier.
But I don't think the crypto markets are going to be immune to this.
Well, no, I hear you, but also like I saw the tweet you had, which made a lot of sense, where Heidi said, was it your Bitcoin is at $6,700 right now, or just over. It was $7,000 yesterday. 3 years ago, it was $1,200. 3 years ago, to the day. And like, what other asset do you want to be in? Do you want to be in stocks where it lost 30%? Or do you want to be in other currencies that are losing 10, 20%, 30%? I mean, what do you want to be in? Like, where else are you going to put your money? Like that's, I mean, gold, silver, hey, great hedge against inflation, against, supply damages done by the COMEX and LBMA. That's great. The US dollar for a little bit until you don't want to hold US dollars. And Bitcoin, and like there's other cryptos, but
privacy.
I mean, I personally view Bitcoin as a safe haven. People can disagree with me or not, but
Monero.
It's sure damn well been a safe haven for me, for us, man, I'm glad I would have put it into Bitcoin 10 years ago more so than any other thing in the world. So there you go.
Yeah.
Definitely not going to be in real estate. Let me tell you that.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. Well, that's, let me see.
Any more?
Our mic broke.
Surfing any.
Okay. What?
So this guy asked about any waves lately. Nah, it's actually
today's pretty nice.
It's actually 20 foot today. So that's
perfect swell direction.
But you need a jet ski to get into these waves,
not allowed.
Especially today, and we're not allowed to take the ski out. So whatever, first world problems.
Yeah. So at least we have a cool thing to watch. What?
Yeah.
Keep tapping me.
That's it.
Okay, that's gonna wrap it up for this live stream. Thank you everyone who took part in the live chat. Cool. So appreciate it if you leave a like. Share this one out so other people can check it out. And if you're interested in that live class all about cryptocurrency wallets, check out my Patreon and join the CT Club. I've been brainstorming other classes I can hold for free also, and kind of keep formulating things like best practices to secure your privacy online in the crypto space, how to spot a potentially profitable cryptocurrency. If your ledger is broken and you need to extract it. We're going through this right now. We will teach you that as well. Yeah. Going through all the steps of if for whatever reason you aren't able to get your Bitcoin off of your Ledger Nano S. I am troubleshooting that issue as we speak. So I'll have a whole lot of information to share with you guys. So anyway, gonna wrap it up today. Thank you for everyone. See you guys. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Bye.